One of the most common problems that my clients in the mental health field and in my one-to-one work have experienced is a lack of congruence. What I mean by a lack of congruence is people who believe one thing and say one thing, but they don't act in alignment with what they believe in or what they say. This is when their mental, emotional, and physical worlds don't align. And when you lack this alignment, you deal with internal issues, you deal with relationship issues, you deal with communication issues, because deep down you know that something isn't right. And this isn't anything new. If I had to guess, I'd say this is something that people have been experiencing for thousands of years. Now, although the hard science doesn't go back all the way thousands of years, we know that many psychologists, many psychiatrists have talked all about this ad nauseum. Carl Rogers, for example, was a therapist in the mid-20th century. He believed that the people who saw him, the people who were dealing with these issues within their life, it was because they lacked congruence. They didn't have alignment between what they thought internally, what they experienced emotionally, and what they did physically. And from what I can see in modern times, the issue is only getting worse. Rates of depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues are just skyrocketing day by day. You can look at studies from 2015, 2016, and compare them to 2025, 2026. And it's staggering the amount of people who are now reporting that they're feeling anxiety, depression, PTSD, OCD, all these other challenges that weren't quite as common even a few decades back. Now, of course, a lot of this has to do with the fact that we isolate. We spend so much time alone, not interacting with other people and just spending time online, consuming endless information. I've talked about that plenty in a bunch of other videos, so I won't totally go there today, but what I know is that, and what you know as well, is that we tend to take on the opinions and thoughts of random Joe Schmoes online rather than understand who we really are. When we're so busy consuming the thoughts and opinions of other people, then we never really get to understand our true values, our beliefs, what we should be doing with our time, how we should be spending our attention and energy. And from there, this influences our thoughts, our emotions, and our everyday behaviors. There was a research study from 2015 at Harvard Business School that found that inauthentic behavior consistently produces a feeling of self-alienation. So when you're not living in alignment with who you really are, then you tend to isolate. And when you're isolated, then that perpetuates these negative feelings and emotions and thoughts about the world itself, leading to a decrease in your overall mental health. And the interesting thing is that we can take this even deeper. There's a book called The Body Keeps a Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And what the author found was that your physical self reacts to this mental turmoil through chronic muscle tension. You get digestive issues, fatigue, and a dysregulated nervous system. All things that many of us experience on a daily basis, but grow accustomed to. And we don't really pay attention to these things because it just becomes a part of our everyday normal reality, even though it's just not normal. And all of this stems from a lack of congruence, a lack of alignment, doing things, thinking things, and feeling things differently from who you really are and what you should be doing in this world. When you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, the body keeps the score. As the author Bessel van der Kolk said, your unconscious mind never forgets, and your unconscious mind oversees your nervous system. In those cases, well, that just compounds. That's evidence deep within you that you don't do the things you say you're going to do. And I also think this is why so many people find themselves performing, trying to impress other people and doing things that they don't really give a shit about just to appear like they have everything together and that their life is so much better than what it really is. It's a very sad thing. Rather than living authentically, expressing our true values and beliefs, and doing the things we say we want to do, we perform. So the question is, what can we do? Well, the first step is awareness. And right now, you are aware. I'm aware. Many people are not, but here we are, and that's a beautiful thing. To me, without awareness, you can't solve any problem. You can't come to any insights. You can't understand who you really are without that awareness. So this is the foundation. This is step number one. And basically, every video I've ever posted, it all comes down to awareness. And once you become totally aware of your situation, then it's examination. What's really worked for me is just stepping back from the noise and honestly seeking out information about myself in relation to the world around me from an objective perspective, all right? Taking my emotions out of the equation and just examining where I'm at. One of the best things I do to step back from the noise is just go for these long walks every day, or at least 5-6 days a week. Weather permitting, I go for a 45 to 60-minute walk. No phone, no music, nothing. Just me and my thoughts. And this allows me to really reflect on where I'm at, where I'm going, and how I'm feeling right now, not just in terms of emotions, but my energy levels and how I'm waking up in the morning and how I'm going to bed at night. All these things that we tend to just gloss over. We don't give these things much attention because we wake up every day, we go to bed every day, we do the things we say we want to do when we want to do them, but not always when we don't want to do them. So anyways, yeah, this has been the biggest thing for me, is just going for these long walks. Obviously, sitting in contemplation, meditation, journaling, I'm big on all those things, and I've talked about them plenty in a bunch of other videos. And these are all things that people know they should be doing, yet few people take the time to actually do them. If you can spend even 10 minutes stepping back from the noise and examining where you're at, how you feel in terms of your energy and your thoughts and the things you do on a daily basis and where you're going, then that has a high ROI on your life. So after you've done that, the third and final step is implementation, all right? Carl Rogers was a therapist, and he talked about this all the time. He believed that you can do the inner work, but if your outward communication doesn't align with what's happening in here, then it doesn't really matter. And this is what I talked about a couple videos back, about how visualization alone won't change your life. And it's not only the things that you say, but the things that you think, the things that you feel, the way that you experience reality in terms of communicating with not only other people, but the habits you do, the routines you follow. Everything matters, all right? Even the things you choose not to do, your anti-vision, that matters so much because that gives you direction moving forward. So, yeah, rather than imitating the beliefs and actions of other people just because you want to fit in and you're being performative, you really got to understand yourself, all right? You got to create this sense of congruence within you. You got to act in alignment with what you say, what you believe in, how you feel, because otherwise you're just going to be dealing with a bunch of issues that you don't want to be dealing with. Lack of energy, anxiety, depression, feeling purposeless, all these things that nobody wants to experience, but so many of us do, especially in modern times when we're all distracted and overstimulated and our nervous systems are all out of whack. So, yeah, take the time to do these few things and you won't regret it, all right? I know it means breaking the pattern. It means doing things that you don't typically do, like self-reflection, like going for these long walks, like trying to understand where you're at and where you're going. But ultimately, nothing changes if nothing changes. And it starts with you. Nobody is going to stop you or really push you to do this. It's your decision. You can get people to help you, like I could help you. You can book a call with me below. You can apply to work with me, but ultimately it does come down to your internal state, your choice to decide, okay, am I going to examine where I'm at, figure out my values, my beliefs, and understand where I'm going? Or am I just going to stay in place, acting in a performative manner, doing things to appease other people who really don't give a shit about me? You know? So, yeah, I'll leave it there, all right? Consider these ideas. Spend time in reflection, gain awareness, and then implement the things you come to terms with, all right? Live in alignment. That's what matters most. So, thank you for watching. I'll speak to you soon.